Hello, 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 my dear grade 5 learner. Welcome to our lesson. I'm your teacher, Teacher Paul Kuria. In this lesson, we shall look at the location, the position, and the size of our country, Kenya. Location, position, and the size of our country, Kenya. As we start off, I would encourage you to have a pen and a notebook because we shall do some activities through writing. Kindly get a pen, a pencil, a notebook, or a piece of paper where you can note down a thing or two. Welcome. As we start off, we shall look at the map that I'm presenting to you on your screen. What can you see? Look at it. I'm sure you've seen it's the map of Kenya or Kenya. Can you see our country, Kenya? Now, our country, Kenya, is the one that I've highlighted in color orange. And I'm sure you can see the capital city, Nairobi, that is in the capital city of Kenya. And you can also see the other cities that we have in Kenya, namely Nakuru and Mombasa. We also have other cities with Kisumu, with Eldoret, but I have not shown them because my interest is Kenya and the countries that border our country, Kenya. Now, I want you to take the piece of paper or the notebook and your pen, then you note down the countries that share a border with our country, Kenya, as you can see on the map that I'm presenting on your screen. I'm also doing the same activity, so we are doing it together. Note down the countries that share a border with our country, Kenya. Good. Yes. I'm sure by now you finished writing down the countries you can see on your screen that share a border with Kenya or neighbor Kenya. Let's now mark the work we've done. These are the countries that border Kenya. With Tanzania. Had you noted Tanzania? Good. With Uganda, check, compare with what you had written. With South Sudan, Ethiopia, and Somalia. Those are the countries that border Kenya. It doesn't matter the order in which you had written them, but make sure that you've Tanzania somewhere, you've Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia, and Somalia. How many are they? I know you know how to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 countries that share a border with Kenya. Key to note, it might be that you had written the Indian Ocean as a country that borders Kenya. Now, remember in grade 4, we learned about drainage features. The Indian Ocean is not a country, it's a drainage feature. In as much as it shares a border with Kenya, or Kenya, that is, it's not a country. So the countries that border Kenya are 5, as we've named them: Tanzania, Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia, and Somalia. You can start in any order. Let's soldier on. Next, we shall look at the position of Kenya in relation to her neighbors. And in this case, we shall use an instrument that we learned in grade 4, which is used to show directions. I pose a question to you here, my dear learner. Do you remember in grade 4, there is an instrument that we learned that shows directions? What was its name? I can hear you saying the compass. Super. So we shall use the compass to show the position of Kenya in relation to her neighbors. So I want you to take a minute or two. Then you draw the compass with 8 points. You can start with the 4 cardinal points, then you add the other 4. So draw a compass. I'm also drawing with the 8 points. You start with the cardinal points. I'm sure you can remember them. I've also done that. Then you can even write them in initials. You don't have to write them in full. So kindly, are you done? Good, Lana. Wonderful. Now, let's compare what you've written and what we've on our screen. Now, that's the 8 points of the compass. With the first 4 points, the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west. And if I can remind you, the arrow of the compass will always point to the north. So the 4 cardinal points, north, south, east, and west. In addition to that, between north and east, we have north, east. Between south and east, we have southeast. Between south and west, we have southwest. Then between north and west, we have northwest. Now, allow me to take you back to the map that I presented before, as you can see on your screen. Now, I want you, using now the compass, to write down which country borders Kenya to the north? Which country borders Kenya to the north? Kindly write it down as you can see it. The country that borders Kenya to the north. Good. Which country borders Kenya to the east? Which country borders Kenya to the south? Which country borders Kenya to the west? And finally, you write the country that borders Kenya to the northwest. Country that borders Kenya to the northwest. And maybe also you can write the drainage feature that borders Kenya to the southeast. I'm sure you've completed that assignment. Job well done. Let's compare with the answer that I'm going to present on your screen. Now, I want you to mark your own activity, the one you've done. To the north with Ethiopia. To the northwest with South Sudan. To the east with Somalia. West, Kenya shares a border with Uganda. To the south, Kenya is bordered by Tanzania. Have you compared with what you had written? So that's the position of Kenya in relation to her neighbors using the compass. Note that the Indian Ocean, which you've said is a drainage feature, it's not a country, it's to the southeast of Kenya. It's to the southeast of our country, Kenya. Another assignment here, I want you to name the countries A, B, C, D, and E, respectively, as you can see them on the map that I'm presenting on the screen. Name the countries A, B, C, D, and E. So on your notebook, write A, which country is A, which country is B, which country is C, which country is D, and which country is E. Have you completed that? Wonderful. Now, let me give you the answers, then you compare. Country A is South Sudan. Country A is South Sudan. Country B is Ethiopia. Country B is Ethiopia that borders Kenya to the north. Country C is Uganda that borders Kenya to the west. Then country D is Somalia that borders Kenya to the east. And country E is Tanzania that borders Kenya to the south. Oh, Good. I can see you nodding the head in agreement. Wonderful. As we conclude our lesson, we should show love for our own country, Kenya. So we're supposed to show love to our own country, Kenya. In addition to that, there should be good relations between Kenya and her neighbors. There should be good relations between Kenya and her neighbors. My dear grade 5 learner, we've come to the end of our lesson. I'm sure you've enjoyed the lesson and you've learned a lot. Continue doing more research on our topic, position, location, and size of our country, Kenya. I've been your online teacher, Teacher Paul Kuria. In case you'll have any question, you can reach out to me through the email that you can see on your screen. You can also reach out to me through any social media, and I'm going to be glad to answer your question. See you in our next lesson. Goodbye.